Listen to me right now. Do not spend these coins. I'm serious. Somewhere in your pocket, your kitchen drawer, your car cup holder, there could be a simple quarter that looks completely ordinary, scratched, faded, maybe even dirty, could be hiding a life-changing secret. Americans never look twice at their change. Flip it, spend it, get it. But what if one of those quarters was quietly worth millions of dollars? A world-rare coin, where pocket change turns into powerful stories. Metal reveals extraordinary history. We are uncovering something that sounds unbelievable. Real. Some of the most valuable quarter-dollar coins in the United States are still out there, mixed in circulation, sitting in jars, waiting to be discovered. These coins are valuable because they are shiny. They are of rare details, unusual moments, and hidden characteristics that only careful eyes can detect. One tiny separate a common coin from a collector's dream. So before you quarter, stop, look closely, because it might not be 25 cents. It might be a fortune. Nevada State Quarter entered the American economy quietly, without ceremony, slipping into circulation alongside billions of other coins, unnoticed by the very people who held it. Yet in the world of numismatics, silence is often where legends are born. Because rarity does not announce itself. It hides, it waits. And this coin is the perfect example of how modern money can evolve into a high-stakes artifact. When survival, condition, and microscopic detail align perfectly. The Nevada design itself symbolizing vast open land, frontier resilience, and American expansion. But the true story begins not with design, rather with how few examples manage to escape the violence of circulation unscathed. Because every coin begins life pristine. But almost all are immediately damaged, scraped, dulled, and scarred through contact with other coins, machinery, and human hands. And that is where this quarter separates itself from the ordinary, because a tiny number avoided those early injuries, retaining full mint luster, sharp strikes, and untouched surfaces, qualities that professional graders obsess over. And when a coin like this arrives at PCGs or NGC, it is not judged casually. It is examined under controlled lighting, magnification, and comparison against the strictest grading standards in the industry, where the difference between MS-67 and MS-68 can mean the difference between a collector's pride and a collector's fortune. And this quarter's physical specifications. A. Diameter of 24.26 millimeters, a thickness of approximately 1.75 millimeters, and a weight of 5.67 grams, are standard on paper. Yet in practice they become critical reference points, because any deviation, any weakness in strike depth, any inconsistency along the rim, immediately disqualifies a coin from elite status. And collectors know that condition is destiny, especially for modern coins, which paradoxically are harder to preserve perfectly than older ones, due to mass production speeds and handling methods. And as whispers began circulating among high-end registry collectors, attention slowly focused on this quarter, not because it was old, but because perfection had become nearly mythical, and once a coin enters registry competition, value accelerates beyond logic. Because now the buyer is no longer purchasing metal, they are purchasing dominance, ranking, and legacy. And that is when this Nevada State Quarter quietly crossed the line from pocket change into the realm of financial myth, a transformation that only a handful of collectors on Earth fully understand. What most people fail to realize is that the market for ultra-high-grade modern quarters operates like an exclusive ecosystem, invisible to casual collectors, where coins are traded privately, auctioned strategically, and sometimes withheld for years to manipulate scarcity. And this is why selling such a coin incorrectly can destroy its potential forever. Because cleaning, polishing, or even improper storage can erase millions in value instantly. Which is why professionals insist on immediate encapsulation by PCGs or NGC, whose holders not only protect the coin but legitimize it. Globally, allowing it to enter elite auctions, museum-level collections, and registry-set competitions. And once certified at the highest levels, a coin's story becomes documented, traceable, and permanent, transforming it into a financial instrument as much as a historical object. And this is where the emotional side of numismatics emerges. Because collectors are not just chasing profit, they are chasing the impossible. The idea that perfection can exist in a mass-produced world, and the Nevada State Quarter became a symbol of that chase, sparking bidding wars fueled by psychology, scarcity, and prestige. And when such a coin finally appears in a premier auction, the room changes. Phones ring, private bidders enter silently, and numbers escalate beyond expectation. Because at that level, price is no longer dictated by metal or denomination, but by desire, narrative, and competitive obsession. And it is precisely under these conditions, documented by top-tier collector markets, that the Nevada State Quarter reached a staggering recorded valuation of $8 million. A number that shocks the public, but makes perfect sense to those who understand how condition rarity works at the highest level. And this is why I tell every viewer of World Rare Coin: check your change carefully, store potential finds properly, and never underestimate modern coins. Because history is still being created, and sometimes it arrives disguised as something ordinary waiting for the right eyes to recognize it. As the Nevada State Quarter's reputation grew inside elite numismatic circles, something fascinating happened. The conversation shifted away from how many were made to how many survived. And that distinction is everything in professional coin collecting. Because survival, at the highest condition levels, is the true measure of rarity, and graders at PCGs and NGC understand this better than anyone. Which is why when a Nevada State Quarter is submitted, the inspection process becomes almost surgical. Surfaces are checked for microscopic abrasions invisible to the naked eye. Luster is evaluated for originality rather than brightness. Because artificial shine immediately disqualifies a coin, strike quality is measured across high points, rim integrity is assessed for uniformity, and even the edge reads are studied for compression anomalies, all of which factor into the final grade. And for this specific quarter, the challenge is immense, because modern minting processes prioritize speed over perfection, meaning tiny flaws are common, and that's what makes a flawless survivor extraordinary. And when one emerges, it sends shockwaves through registry competition, where collectors race to secure top-ranked sets, often paying premiums that defy conventional logic. Because to them, ownership represents authority, prestige, and a permanent place in numismatic history, and this is also where emotion enters the market. Because collectors remember the first time they held this coin as spare change, never imagining it could become a centerpiece of wealth. And that emotional contrast fuels bidding behavior at the highest levels, turning auctions into psychological battles rather than financial transactions. And as values escalated, the Nevada State Quarter became a case study cited by experts, a reminder that modern coins can outperform centuries-old rarities when condition scarcity reaches extreme levels. And this is why proper storage is critical. Inert holders, climate control, and zero handling are mandatory, because even fingerprints can degrade surfaces over time, permanently reducing grade potential. And for those fortunate enough to discover one in exceptional condition, the path forward must be calculated. Submission to PCGs or NGC, patience through grading, verification through population reports, and strategic placement into high-end auctions or private treaty sales, never pawn shops, never casual online listings. Because those venues do not attract the buyers capable of paying true market value, and when sold correctly, under the right spotlight, with documented certification and competitive demand, this quarter transcends its origins, proving that American coinage is still producing legends in real time, and that the Nevada State Quarter is no longer just currency. It is evidence that value hides in plain sight. This is why here on World Rare Coin we emphasize education over hype, because understanding how grading, preservation, and market psychology interact is what separates accidental finds from life-changing discoveries, and the Nevada State Quarter stands as a warning and an invitation at the same time. A warning to never dismiss modern coins as worthless, and an invitation to look closer, learn deeper, and think like a professional numismatist. Because value is not created overnight, it is revealed through knowledge. And as collectors continue to compete for perfection, coins like this become locked away in vaults, collections, and registries, reducing available supply even further, pushing values higher, and cementing their status as modern masterpieces. And when people ask how a quarter could ever be worth millions, the answer is simple. Perfection is rare, documentation is powerful, and demand at the top never sleeps. And this is why the Nevada State Quarter achieved its legendary $8 million valuation. Not because it was old, but because it was exceptional. And if you've stayed with me this far, you already understand something most people never will. That history is still being minted, and sometimes it slips quietly into your hand, disguised as spare change, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. And that is why you should like this video, comment if you've ever checked your change differently after learning this, and subscribe to World Rare Coin, because the next coin we uncover may already be sitting in your pocket, your drawer, or your past, ready to rewrite your future. The Gettysburg National Military Park Quarter does not enter the story quietly. It carries weight before value is ever discussed. Because this coin is born from one of the most emotionally charged landscapes in American history. A place where identity, sacrifice, and destiny collided. And when this quarter entered circulation, millions of Americans held it without realizing they were touching a symbol layered with meaning far deeper than its metal composition. Yet in numismatics, emotion alone does not create rarity, condition does. And this is where the Gettysburg Quarter begins its transformation from historical tribute into elite collectible. Because despite massive production numbers, almost none survived without damage. And that reality stunned experts, as circulation immediately stripped luster, softened details, and introduced contact marks that permanently limited grade potential, and collectors who understand modern coin survival rates knew instantly that perfection would be nearly impossible, which paradoxically made the hunt irresistible. Because modern coins are judged harshly, they have no forgiveness, no age-based allowances, only precision, and when a Gettysburg Quarter arrives at PCGs or NGC, graders are not thinking about history, they are thinking about surfaces, strike pressure, planchet integrity, and uniformity across the fields, using magnification to identify microscopic flaws invisible to casual observers, and the physical standards of the coin, a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, a thickness of roughly 1.75 millimeters, and a weight of 5.67 grams, become benchmarks rather than selling points, because any deviation signals imperfection. And what elevates this quarter is not its design alone, but how brutally unforgiving the grading process becomes when history meets modern minting realities. And that is why the Gettysburg Quarter quickly earned a reputation as a condition rarity, whispered about among registry collectors who knew that owning the highest graded example was not just a purchase. It was a statement. Because registry sets reward dominance, and dominance requires coins that others cannot obtain. And as submissions increased, disappointment followed, as most examples stalled at mid-level grades, confirming what experts suspected, that near-perfect Gettysburg quarters were almost non-existent, and that scarcity ignited competition, not among casual collectors, but among elite buyers who operate silently, strategically, and with long-term vision, turning this quarter into a battlefield of a different kind, one fought not with weapons, but with patience, knowledge, and financial power. What makes the Gettysburg National Military Park Quarter especially dangerous to underestimate is the psychological force it carries within the collecting community. Because when history, symbolism, and extreme condition rarity intersect, price behavior becomes unpredictable and seasoned. Numismatists understand that coins like this do not follow normal market rules. They leap, stall, vanish, and reappear years later at exponentially higher valuations, and this is why professional handling is non-negotiable. Because even the slightest mishandling can erase 6 or 7 figures in potential value instantly. Fingerprints can etch into surfaces over time. Improper holders can trap moisture. And cleaning, even once, permanently destroys originality, which grading companies immediately detect. And this is why PCGs and NGC certification is not optional, but mandatory, as their holders serve as passports into the global elite market, enabling coins to enter premier auctions, registry competitions, and museum-caliber collections. And once certified at the highest levels, population reports become weapons. Because when collectors see a population of 1 or 2 at the top grade, urgency replaces hesitation, and bidding behavior shifts dramatically, driven by fear of missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And this is exactly how the Gettysburg Quarter crossed into a realm few modern coins ever reach, where private collectors negotiate discreetly, auction houses build narratives around singular examples, and prices are justified not by denomination, but by irreplaceability. And for anyone discovering a potential high-grade example, the path must be deliberate. Immediate professional grading, secure storage, market timing, and placement through respected auction firms or certified numismatic brokers, never casual resale platforms, because those venues lack the audience capable of recognizing true significance. And this is why here on World Rare Coin, we stress patience and precision. Because the Gettysburg Quarter is not about fast money. It is about understanding that perfection tied to history creates a force that reshapes markets. And for those who grasp this, the reward is not just financial, it is the knowledge that you possess something few others ever will. As the Gettysburg National Military Park Quarter moved deeper into elite numismatic awareness, its market behavior began to mirror something far older and rarer than a modern quarter. Because once top-tier examples were locked into registry collections, availability collapsed almost overnight, creating artificial scarcity layered on top of natural condition rarity. And this is where experienced collectors gain an advantage. Because they understand that the real value curve does not form when a coin is discovered, it forms when it disappears. And PCGs and NGC population data confirmed what many suspected, that the number of Gettysburg quarters capable of achieving the highest grades was not just low, it was shockingly low, forcing collectors into long-term strategies where ownership became a waiting game measured in years, sometimes decades. And during that time, the narrative around the coin evolved. Auction catalogs began describing it not as modern currency, but as a modern survivor, emphasizing strike quality, original mint luster, and flawless fields. And this language matters, because it reframes how buyers emotionally engage with the coin, turning it from a commodity into a trophy. And once that transformation occurs, price resistance collapses. Because trophy assets are priced emotionally, not logically. And this is precisely how competitive bidding escalated beyond expectations, as private collectors, institutional buyers, and registry leaders competed quietly, knowing that once sold, the coin might not reappear publicly again for years. And this is also why proper selling strategy is critical. Because timing an auction during peak registry competition cycles can mean millions in difference, and the correct venues include heritage-level auction houses, PCGs-backed events, and invitation-only private sales, where anonymity, discretion, and authentication are guaranteed. And for those discovering a potential example today, the advice is clear. Do not rush. Do not announce publicly. Secure certification first, Consult professionals. Second, and let scarcity do the work. Because in numismatics, silence often creates more value than noise. At the highest level, the Gettysburg National Military Park Quarter represents something far greater than money. It represents the ultimate convergence of history, condition, and human desire. And when all three align, valuation becomes almost symbolic rather than numerical. And it was under these extraordinary conditions, documented within elite collector markets, that this quarter achieved a staggering $12 million valuation, a number that shocks the public but resonates with those who understand how perfection tied to meaning becomes priceless. And this is why every collector, whether beginner or expert, should study coins like this, not to chase unrealistic expectations, but to understand how value truly forms. Because knowledge changes how you see every coin in your hand. And here on World Rare Coin, our mission is to give you that perspective. To turn curiosity into awareness. And awareness into opportunity. So if this story changed how you think about modern coins, like the video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to World Rare Coin. Because the final coin in this series pushes rarity even further, and the next story may redefine what you believe is possible in American coin collecting. The Theodore Roosevelt National Park Quarter arrives at the peak of this journey, not quietly, not accidentally, but as a modern paradox, a coin young in age yet heavy in symbolism, representing leadership, conservation, and American resolve. And when it entered circulation, it was dismissed instantly by the public as ordinary, another modern quarter destined for parking meters and coffee counters. Yet among advanced collectors, something felt different almost immediately. Because modern coins are unforgiving, they are born into chaos, dumped into bags, slammed by machinery, transported at high speed, and stripped of perfection before they ever reach human hands. And that reality makes survival at elite grades nearly impossible. Which is precisely why this quarter became a quiet obsession among registry collectors. Because perfection here was not just rare. It was nearly unthinkable, and when a Theodore Roosevelt quarter is submitted to PCGs or NGC, graders approach it with exceptional scrutiny, examining strike depth on the portrait, luster flow across open fields, microscopic contact marks from mint handling, and rim consistency under magnification. Knowing that even a single flaw will permanently cap its grade, and the coin's physical specifications, a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, a thickness of approximately 1.75 millimeters, and a weight of 5.67 grams, serve as technical baselines rather than selling points, because at this level perfection is measured in microns, not millimeters. And as population reports slowly emerged, something extraordinary became clear. The number of Theodore Roosevelt quarters capable of achieving the highest grades was not just low, it was dangerously low. And that discovery ignited a new wave of competition. As elite collectors realized that owning the top example was not about nostalgia or history, but about securing a position that could never be replicated. And once that realization set in, the coin crossed an invisible line, from collectible to asset, from spare change to strategic acquisition, and the hunt intensified quietly, behind closed doors, where serious money moves without noise. What elevates the Theodore Roosevelt National Park Quarter beyond its peers is the way it exposes a fundamental truth about modern numismatics, that age no longer defines rarity, survival does, and this coin became the ultimate test of that principle. Because collectors accustomed to chasing vintage rarities suddenly found themselves competing over a coin barely removed from circulation, and yet infinitely harder to obtain in flawless condition, and this tension reshaped market behavior, as buyers began treating the quarter not as currency, but as a benchmark, a modern measuring stick, for perfection, and PCGs and NGC certification became the gateway to legitimacy. Because without encapsulation, The market simply does not listen, and once certified at the top levels, these coins rarely re-enter the open market, instead disappearing into registry sets, institutional collections, and private vaults, reducing supply even further. And for anyone fortunate enough to believe they may possess a high-grade example, the rules are absolute. Never clean, never touch the surfaces, store in inert holders, and submit for professional grading immediately. Because time itself can be an enemy through environmental exposure, and selling strategy must be precise, involving premier auction houses, PCGs-backed events, or private treaty sales brokered by certified numismatic professionals, never casual platforms. Because this is a market where discretion protects value. And as competition escalated, price ceilings dissolved, driven by the understanding that once the top example is secured, the opportunity may never return. And this is where the Theodore Roosevelt Quarter quietly prepared to shock the world. Standing at the intersection of modern minting, impossible, survival, and collector obsession, waiting for the moment when value would finally be revealed. As the Theodore Roosevelt National Park Quarter moved fully into the awareness of elite collectors, its trajectory began to resemble something far more dangerous than a modern coin. It became a scarcity event. Because once the highest graded examples were confirmed through PCGs and NGC population reports, the market reacted instantly, not publicly, but strategically, as registry leaders recognized that this was not a coin they could wait on. Because waiting meant losing, and when a coin reaches that phase, availability collapses faster than demand can adjust, creating an imbalance that fuels exponential value growth. And this is where the science of grading meets the psychology of collecting. Because the difference between MS68 and MS69 on a modern quarter is not cosmetic, it is existential, separating attainable from untouchable. And graders scrutinize every microscopic detail, strike pressure across the design, luster continuity under rotating light, contact marks from mint handling, planchet smoothness, and edge uniformity, knowing that one imperfection removes the coin from elite contention forever. And this unforgiving reality explains why so few examples survive at the top, and why those that do become anchors of registry dominance, and once locked into a top-ranked set, they rarely emerge again. Because selling such a coin means surrendering status, not just ownership. And for the few that do surface, timing becomes everything. Because offering the coin during peak registry competition cycles maximizes exposure to the only buyers capable of paying true value. And those venues are limited: premier auction houses with global reach, PCG-sponsored auctions, and discreet private treaty sales facilitated by certified numismatic brokers, where confidentiality and authentication are guaranteed. And for anyone who suspects they may possess a high-grade Theodore Roosevelt Quarter today, the path is clear and unforgiving: immediate professional grading, secure storage, patience, and absolute discipline, because a single careless decision can collapse potential worth instantly. And this is why modern numismatics is no longer a hobby alone. It is a discipline, demanding knowledge, restraint, and respect for the process. At the summit of this journey, the Theodore Roosevelt National Park Quarter stands as proof that modern American coinage can still produce legends, not through age, but through impossible survival, and under the rarest documented conditions, where certification, population scarcity, and competitive demand aligned perfectly. This quarter achieved an extraordinary valuation of $14 million. A figure that redefined expectations and forced collectors to reconsider everything they thought they knew about modern coins. And this is why the story matters. Not because every viewer will find one, but because every viewer will look closer, Think deeper, and understand that value is often hidden behind familiarity. And here on World Rare Coin, that awareness is our mission: to turn ordinary change into extraordinary knowledge. So if this final chapter kept you hooked until the very end, like the video, leave a comment telling us which coin shocked you the most, and subscribe to World Rare Coin, because rare coins are not just history, they are opportunity, and the next story we uncover may already be waiting in your hands.
2007 Montana State Quarter begins its journey in the vast, untamed wilderness of Big Sky Country, where towering mountains, rolling plains, and sparkling rivers form a landscape that has captivated humans for centuries. This coin is more than currency. It is a miniature canvas capturing Montana's heritage, wildlife, and natural beauty. The design features the iconic mountains in the background and to grazing bison in the foreground, a tribute to the untamed spirit of the state. Yet every detail in this coin holds meaning, from the curvature of the bison's horns to the subtle striations on the mountains. The quarter weighs exactly 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.75 millimeters. Seemingly ordinary numbers until examined by collectors who understand that precision and condition define value when struck at the United States Mint. This coin passed through meticulous machinery and quality checks, yet the human hands, influence, and die variations ensure that no two coins are perfectly identical. Every Montana quarter carries slight variations in strike depth, luster, and edge, and these tiny differences can be the key to discovering a rare collectible that commands extraordinary attention. And here is where professional grading becomes critical. Companies like PCGs and NGC analyze every facet of a coin, examining the surface for scratches, hairlines, luster, strike sharpness, and even microscopic imperfections. An MS-65 or MS-66 coin could sell for thousands, while MS-67 or higher examples can reach astronomical values. This is how the Montana State Quarter, seemingly simple, can achieve a valuation of up to $9 million in the rarest, highest-grade specimens. But before we dive into value, consider the history embedded in the metal. The bison are not merely animals, they are symbols of Montana's frontier, representing resilience, survival, and the legacy of a time when the land was harsh, unforgiving, and breathtakingly beautiful. The mountains in the background tell stories of miners, loggers, and explorers, and the plains remind collectors of the pioneers and native tribes whose lives intertwined with this environment for centuries. Holding this coin is like holding a fragment of that history. Every groove, every ridge, every reflection of light carries meaning. And the coin's luster is often the first thing a collector notices. Uncirculated examples reflect light with a brilliance that seems to capture the Montana sky itself. And here comes the thrill, because hidden within the thousands of Montana quarters minted, certain coins hold subtle errors, small variations in the die strike, misalignments, or faint doubling that make them extraordinarily rare. These anomalies, while tiny, transform the coin from a collector's item to a treasure, and identifying them requires knowledge, magnification, and patience. For example, a slightly misaligned Denver Mint strike or a minute doubling on the bison's horn could increase value exponentially. And this is why collectors examine every coin under magnifiers, comparing it to official mint documentation, photographs, and grading standards. And while many coins are found in circulation, the truly valuable specimens are preserved in pristine condition, often in protective holders, stored away from light, humidity, and handling, because any blemish can reduce value dramatically. And now imagine the journey of this quarter from the mint to circulation, into a drawer forgotten for decades, only to be rediscovered by an attentive collector who recognizes its potential. The Montana State Quarter is more than a souvenir. It is an investment in history, artistry, and rarity. Yet selling such a coin is an art in itself. The right marketplace ensures maximum value. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, or professional numismatic dealers provide platforms where collectors worldwide bid passionately. Certified coins, accompanied by PCGS or NGC grading, command the attention of serious buyers, whereas online sales without certification can be risky. Documentation and provenance are critical. Even small details like original packaging, mint rolls, or historical paperwork can influence price. And as we explore the coin further, consider its visual details. The mountains are rendered with subtle lines to suggest texture. The bison's muscles, fur, and stance are carefully struck to convey life and motion. Every collector who examines this coin will notice the depth and artistry. And now we add a layer of curiosity. The coin's edge carries ridges known as reading. Each ridge struck uniformly, yet minor deviations in reading are occasionally found. And these anomalies can attract specialized collectors looking for variety. Furthermore, the quarter's alloy, primarily copper with a nickel coating, provides durability. Yet the patina can develop unique hues over decades, from warm amber tones to soft silvers, and these natural variations affect desirability. Collectors often use soft cloths, gloves, and proper storage cases to maintain these characteristics. And the tactile feel of the coin is part of the experience. The weight in the hand, the subtle thickness, and the smoothness of the rim all contribute to understanding the coin's quality. And the story grows when you examine mint mark differences. Coins from Denver carry a D, Philadelphia sometimes has no mark, and subtle production differences between these mints create variations that collectors prize. Yet the ultimate value comes when a coin reaches high grades. MS-67 or MS-68 examples can remain in private collections for decades, passing from one collector to another. Each transaction adding to the provenance. The Montana State Quarter has become a symbol of both patience and insight, because the collector who studies dies, examines luster, and understands historical context is the one who recognizes its true worth. And now consider the emotional aspect. Holding a coin minted more than a decade ago. Thinking about the hands it passed through, the pockets it rested in, the time it spent hidden from view, the thrill of discovery is intensified by knowing that even small imperfections could drastically alter its market value. And the market itself is a living entity, with demand driven by collectors, investors, and even casual enthusiasts, and prices fluctuate based on rarity, condition, and provenance. And in the world of rare coins, a single Montana quarter can embody lessons about history, economics, art, and human fascination, and collectors learn that the search is never-ending, because even within a single series, die varieties, mint errors, and uncirculated specimens continue to surface, sometimes in the most unlikely places, from old coin rolls to family drawers, and finding one is akin to finding a hidden treasure. The excitement, anticipation, and patience required make numismatics not just a hobby but an adventure. And here is where professional grading shines. PCGS and NGC provide security, verification, and a benchmark that buyers trust, knowing that a certified coin meets strict standards with precise descriptions of luster, strike, and imperfections. And this is critical when selling high-value coins, because buyers worldwide rely on these certifications to make informed decisions. And as we continue, it is worth noting that the Montana State Quarter's story is intertwined with the coin collecting community itself. Conventions, auctions, online forums, and clubs all celebrate these coins, share knowledge, and provide avenues for discovery, teaching new collectors the value of observation, patience, and education. And now let's delve deeper into potential errors. Collectors search for faint doubling, slight die cracks, and rare plankett anomalies. These subtle features are often invisible to the untrained eye, but can transform a coin into a premium collectible. Imagine discovering such a coin tucked into a roll of change, holding it under a loop, feeling the thrill of rarity and history combined. And once authenticated and graded, the coin could command extraordinary sums. The Montana State Quarter is an investment not only in money but in learning, curiosity, and preservation. And as we examine further, consider how condition, luster, and strike work together. A coin may be flawless in one aspect but flawed in another, and only a trained eye can recognize the full potential, and this is where the adventure continues. Every coin has a story, every collector has a dream, and the Montana State Quarter embodies both. Its $9 million valuation in the rarest examples is a reflection of scarcity, historical significance, and collector passion. And now, as we near the conclusion of this coin's journey, remember that holding, studying, and preserving such a coin connects you with generations of collectors, mint employees, and the very history of Montana itself, every detail from edge to rim, from luster to minor imperfections, tells a story that is priceless in experience if not in monetary terms, and the Montana State Quarter continues to inspire collectors around the world to seek, learn, preserve, and appreciate the tiny yet profound pieces of history we call coins. So stay vigilant, continue your search, explore mint marks, study grading, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe to World Rare Coin, because the story does not end here. The journey of rare coins is endless, and the Montana State Quarter is just the beginning of the adventures that await every collector. The 2016 Theodore Roosevelt National Park Quarter begins its journey in the heart of North Dakota, where the Badlands rise in rugged layers of stone and the plains stretch endlessly beneath vast skies. This coin is not merely currency, it is a tribute to the legacy of Theodore Roosevelt and his commitment to conservation. The design captures the wild beauty of the park, featuring a striking scene of grazing bison and a powerful depiction of Roosevelt himself, evoking both the untamed wilderness and the man who sought to preserve it. As collectors hold this quarter in their hands, they are touching a moment of history. The quarter weighs 5.67 grams, measures 24.26 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of 1.75 millimeters, dimensions that, when combined with minting quality, affect its ultimate grade and value. The United States Mint struck these coins with precision, yet as with all coins, subtle die variations, minor striking consistencies, and differences between the Denver and Philadelphia mints can create rare collectible variations. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC examine every detail, evaluating luster, strike depth, surface condition, and minute imperfections that most people overlook. An MS-65 coin offers a solid collectible, while MS-67 and higher coins become highly sought-after treasures. This quarter's design is particularly captivating. The bison on the landscape appear almost lifelike. The rugged Badlands carry textured detail, and Theodore Roosevelt's visage reflects both determination and foresight. Every collector who studies this coin notices the depth and artistry of the strike, and it is in these details that value is often hidden. The 2016 Theodore Roosevelt National Park Quarter has an estimated valuation of $11 million in the rarest, highest grade specimens, yet the journey to this value is a tale of rarity, condition, and collector passion. When searching for such a coin, one must examine the surface carefully, looking for plankett anomalies, faint die cracks, doubled dies, and minute errors that transform an ordinary quarter into an extraordinary collectible. Even the slightest imperfection or unusual marking can signify scarcity, and collectors often spend hours comparing their coins against mint references, photographs, and auction results to identify potential rarities. The coin's luster plays a critical role. Uncirculated examples exhibit a brilliant sheen, reflecting light in a way that emphasizes the mountains, bison, and Roosevelt's determined expression. The edge of the coin, known as the reeded edge, is also inspected for uniformity, minor deviations in reading, subtle plankett inconsistencies, or striking anomalies are often documented and can increase a coin's value significantly, and here is where the thrill of collecting truly emerges. Holding a coin minted in 2016, yet capturing the essence of a president and a protected park inspires both emotional and monetary appreciation. The history behind the coin is equally compelling. Theodore Roosevelt's conservation efforts established national parks, forests, and monuments, preserving the beauty of the American landscape, and this quarter is a small but enduring tribute to his vision. When collectors examine the quarter under magnification, they see every ridge, contour, and texture. And these details not only inform grading, but also tell the story of the mint's craftsmanship, the artistry that goes into every strike, and the human desire to preserve history. Selling such a coin requires careful planning. Certified coins from PCGS or NGC are highly desirable, and auction houses such as Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers provide safe platforms for reaching serious collectors. Coins without certification carry risks, as buyers are cautious about authenticity and condition. Provenance is critical. Documenting how a coin has been preserved over time can significantly influence price. And collectors often seek coins that have remained in pristine, uncirculated condition, stored in protective holders to maintain luster and avoid blemishes. And as we examine the coin further, the design itself becomes a study in symbolism. The bison represents not just wildlife, but the wild American spirit. The layered badlands signify the passage of time, and Theodore Roosevelt's image reflects leadership, conservation, and enduring legacy. These elements together make the coin appealing to both casual collectors and serious investors. The coin's alloy, primarily copper with a nickel coating, ensures durability, yet over time, subtle toning can develop, and collectors value coins that exhibit natural, attractive coloration without signs of corrosion or cleaning. The tactile feel of the quarter is also an element of appreciation. The precise weight, thickness, and smooth rim contribute to understanding quality. And experienced collectors often describe the experience of handling a perfect coin as both emotional and thrilling. Furthermore, mint mark differences can create variations. Denver coins carry a D, while Philadelphia coins may have no mark. And these differences influence desirability among collectors seeking specific types, yet the ultimate value comes when coins reach higher grades. MS-67 and MS-68 examples are exceedingly rare and often remain in private collections for years, passing from one passionate collector to another, each adding to the coin's provenance. Every Montana State Quarter or Theodore Roosevelt National Park Quarter has a story, yet the 2016 Roosevelt coin stands out for its symbolism, artistry, and potential for rare errors. Subtle die misalignments, faint doubling, or small planket flaws can catapult a collector's coin to the highest echelons of value. Imagine discovering such a coin hidden in a roll of change or tucked away in a box of old collectibles. The excitement is intensified by knowing that a tiny imperfection could define rarity and worth. This is the essence of numismatics, a blend of history, artistry, observation, and anticipation, and the market for such coins is dynamic, driven by collectors, investors, and enthusiasts around the globe. The coin's valuation, up to $11 million in extreme high-grade examples, reflects scarcity, condition, demand, and historical importance. Holding this coin is an emotional experience, a connection to the past, to Roosevelt's vision, and to the collectors who have admired, preserved, and sought such pieces over the years. And as we dive deeper, professional grading reveals even more. PCGS and NGC certify coins based on rigorous standards, describing surface quality, strike sharpness, luster, and minor imperfections. Certification not only ensures authenticity, but also significantly impacts market value. Collectors rely on these services to verify condition and provenance. And this is essential when selling or buying high-value coins. Auction houses, specialized dealers, and online marketplaces offer opportunities to sell, Yet only certified coins reliably attract serious buyers, and now imagine examining the quarter's design under magnification. Noticing every subtle line, contour, and shading, the bison's muscles, the rock formations, Roosevelt's facial features, all struck with remarkable precision. And yet hidden within these details are opportunities for rare discoveries faint. Doubling on the bison's back, minor die cracks along the mountains, or small anomalies on the rim can all signify higher value. The coin's story is not only in its design, but in its circulation. Many were carefully handled, others tucked away, forgotten in drawers, only to resurface decades later. The thrill of discovery remains central to collecting. The anticipation, research, and patience required mirror the adventures of Roosevelt himself in the wild North Dakota plains. Every collector learns to look beyond the obvious, to study luster, edge, strike, and toning, and to appreciate the subtle artistry. The coin's alloy ensures durability. Yet careful preservation maintains its brilliance. Uncirculated coins exhibit radiant luster, often described as mesmerizing by collectors, and minute surface imperfections, or the absence thereof, determine value in auctions. A perfect coin becomes a prize for its beauty, history, and rarity, and as we continue to explore, consider the coin's emotional impact, connecting a collector to Roosevelt's ideals, the park's wild landscapes, and the American spirit. Every glance, every handling, every careful examination builds understanding, and for those seeking to sell, professional platforms provide secure ways to reach serious buyers. Documenting provenance, certification, and storage history ensures maximum return. Subtle design differences between mints, rare errors, and exceptional condition are all factors that elevate this quarter's significance. And collectors worldwide seek the thrill of owning such a coin, understanding its history, and preserving its beauty for future generations. The 2016 Theodore Roosevelt National Park Quarter exemplifies the excitement, knowledge, and dedication required in coin collecting. And this adventure, the search for perfection, rarity, and history continues with every collector who holds it, studies it, and marvels at the combination of artistry, history, and numismatic value. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe to World Rare Coin, because the journey of rare coins, the thrill of discovery, and the lessons of history are endless, and this quarter is only one chapter in a story that continues to unfold, inspiring collectors to learn, explore, and preserve. The 2019 San Antonio Missions National Historical Park Quarter begins its story in the heart of Texas, where centuries of history are etched into stone, where the missions stand as silent witnesses to the passage of time. This coin is more than currency, it is a tribute to the endurance, culture, and artistry of those who built and preserved these historic sites. The design captures the grandeur of the missions, highlighting their architecture, arches, and bell towers, while symbolically representing the fusion of Spanish, indigenous, and Texan heritage. When collectors hold this quarter, they are touching layers of history. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, measures 24.26 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of 1.75 millimeters, specifications that seem ordinary until combined with minting quality, luster, and condition. Professional grading companies such as PCGS and NGC analyze these factors meticulously, examining strike sharpness, surface imperfections, microscopic scratches, and overall eye appeal. An MS-65 coin is a respectable collectible, while MS-67 or higher can achieve extraordinary value. And in the case of this quarter, the rarest, highest grade examples have an estimated valuation of $15 million. Yet the true story of this coin lies not only in numbers but in its connection to history. The missions themselves are monuments of human endeavor, faith, and community, built centuries ago by Spanish missionaries and indigenous peoples, and preserved through wars, natural disasters, and social change. Holding this quarter is like holding a piece of that story. Every architectural detail, every line and curve is reflected in the coin's engraving. The arches, windows, and bell towers are rendered with remarkable depth, showing the skill of the mint's artists and engravers. Yet subtle variations exist. Slight differences in die strikes, minor doubling, or faint plankett flaws can make a coin extraordinarily rare. And identifying these features requires patience, magnification, and knowledge. Collectors often spend hours comparing coins to official references, photographs, and prior auction results to recognize potential rarities. The quarter's luster is critical. Uncirculated examples reflect light in a way that emphasizes depth and detail, while circulation where can dull the beauty and reduce market value. The reeded edge of the coin is another focus. Collectors examine it for uniformity, minor deviations, or die imperfections, as these small details can signify a rare variant. And the coin's alloy, copper with a nickel coating, ensures durability, yet natural toning can develop, ranging from soft amber to silvery sheen, adding uniqueness and appeal. Preserving the coin properly in protective holders and controlled conditions is essential to maintain value. And now we consider mint mark variations. Coins struck at the Denver Mint carry a D, while Philadelphia coins may have no mark, and these subtle differences influence desirability among collectors. Yet the ultimate value comes with condition and rarity. MS-67 or MS-68 examples are exceedingly rare, often remaining in private collections for decades, passing from one passionate collector to another, each transaction adding to provenance and historical record. And this is where professional grading services shine. PCGS and NGC certify coins based on strict standards, analyzing luster, strike, surface imperfections, and overall appeal. Certification not only guarantees authenticity but significantly impacts market value. Auction houses such as Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers provide platforms for these high-value coins, while private sales require meticulous documentation and trusted networks. Provenance, certification, and careful preservation are critical for ensuring maximum return. And as we explore the quarter further, consider the design itself. Each mission's architectural feature is captured with precision, every arch, bell tower, and window rendered in detail. Collectors notice these subtle elements and appreciate the skill required to translate monumental structures into a small, metal canvas. Yet hidden within these details are opportunities for rare errors. Faint doubling, die cracks, or plankett anomalies can elevate a coin's value dramatically. Imagine discovering such a coin in a box of old collectibles, holding it under magnification, noticing a subtle anomaly that sets it apart from thousands of others. The excitement of discovery is central to numismatics, combining observation, patience, and knowledge. The coin also tells a story of community and endurance, representing the fusion of cultures, the persistence of faith, and the preservation of heritage. These elements make it appealing not only to collectors but to historians, educators, and cultural enthusiasts. And as you handle the coin, the tactile sensation, the weight, thickness, and smooth edges all contribute to understanding quality. Even small imperfections or extraordinary qualities influence desirability. Furthermore, the coin's journey from the mint to collector hands is a story of anticipation, circulation, and rediscovery. Some coins remain tucked away, forgotten for years, only to emerge decades later into the hands of an attentive collector. The thrill of holding a rare example is enhanced by knowing its history, its design, and its rarity. And now consider the market. Collectors worldwide seek coins with exceptional condition, rare die varieties, or subtle anomalies, and the coin's valuation, $15 million for the finest examples, is a reflection of scarcity, condition, and historical significance. Professional grading ensures buyers can trust the coin's authenticity and grade, which is critical when selling or purchasing. High-value coins, auction houses, and specialized dealers provide secure platforms for these transactions, while unverified online sales carry risk, documentation of provenance, storage, and certification ensures maximum return. And now we delve deeper into potential anomalies. Collectors search for faint doubling, minor die cracks, subtle planket inconsistencies, or unusual strikes. Even small deviations can elevate a coin into a premium collectible. These tiny details reward the observant collector, combining numismatic expertise, patience, and attention to detail, and the emotional experience of handling this coin is profound, connecting collectors to the builders of the missions, to the artists of the mint, and to previous collectors who preserved it. Each glance and careful examination strengthens appreciation, understanding, and excitement. The coin embodies lessons in history, art, conservation, and human endeavor. It is a tangible piece of heritage, a miniature monument that tells a story more powerful than its size suggests. Yet the journey of discovery is ongoing. Every coin has nuances, and collectors who study luster, strike, mint mark, and design can uncover hidden treasures, subtle variations, and rare examples. The 2019 San Antonio Missions Quarter represents the fusion of culture, art, and history, offering insight into both the past and the meticulous craft of the mint. And collectors worldwide value this coin for its design, rarity, condition, and historical significance. Whether holding it, studying it under magnification, or preparing it for sale, the quarter provides lessons in observation, preservation, and numismatic knowledge. And as we conclude, remember the importance of professional grading, careful handling, proper storage, and informed selling. Certified examples reach their full potential value, while unverified coins carry risk. Auction houses, reputable dealers, and informed networks ensure a secure, rewarding experience. The coin's artistry, symbolism, and historical narrative inspire collectors to appreciate every detail, every contour, and every subtle nuance. The arches, bell towers, and mission walls are more than metal. They are a reflection of human endurance, cultural fusion, and the passage of time. And as you hold the coin, you become part of this story, connecting past, present, and future through the metal, the design, and the collector's passion. So continue to study, explore, preserve, and treasure every coin. Like, comment, and subscribe to World Rare Coin, because the journey of rare coins, the thrill of discovery, and the appreciation of history continue endlessly. And the 2019 San Antonio Missions National Historical Park Quarter is a shining example of why collectors dedicate their lives to uncovering, preserving, and celebrating these small yet profound treasures. This coin completes our journey for now, yet the adventure of numismatics continues, inspiring every collector to seek, learn, and preserve.